Today's episode of Burnt Out is brought to you by Code Green, keeping a first responder's well-being our priority. Turning Point Madison County, a 24/7 call helpline that assists people in life-altering situations with a primary focus on addictions and mental illnesses. And by Bridges of Hope, accredited care for substance use disorders. For more information on our sponsors, please visit burntoutpodcast.org.
Engine 1 out, World Trade Center, 1060. Send every available ambulance, everything you got to World Trade Center now.
10-4, 10-6, been transmitted.
Welcome to Burnt Out. The Burnt Out podcast shares stories of firefighters, emergency medical personnel, and other first responders around the world to create a pathway to save lives. The stories you will hear are real and may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. And now I'd like to introduce you to your host to Burnout, a 33-year retired veteran of the fire department, Skip O.
Thank you, Sean, for that great introduction. I'd like to also welcome everybody to the Burnout Podcast, and we got a guest from across the pond. His name is Pete Lewin. He does an organization called Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, and we're grateful that you could be on here, Pete. How you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Very well.
Well, good. Well, me and Pete's known each other for a few years. We met in 2018 through a friend that was at FDIC here in Indiana at Lucas Oil Field that said he had a friend that does something like the mental health, and he told me about Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. I connected with Pete in 2018. The following year, Pete came to 2019 to FDIC. That's a big event here in Indiana, in Indianapolis, for first responders. A lot of firefighters, 34,000 firefighters from around the United States come there. So that's how me and Pete met. Hey, so Pete, would you want to give them a brief description of your family, your job, what you did for a lot of years, and then we'll go ask some questions after that.
Yeah. I'm Pete Lewin. I'm a paramedic, married to the wife, Jen, long-suffering wife, Jen. We have 5 Newfoundlands and 4 various breeds of other dogs. As I said, I was a paramedic. I've just retired from full-time work. On the service for 26 years, paramedic 18 of them. I am going back to part-time work as a paramedic. I like the job. I enjoy the job. And I still want to do it for a little bit longer. Pete Lewin Newfoundlands is my massive passion, and it's helping first responders, paramedics, military veterans, and we also have looked at sort of children with autism and disabilities, taking them swimming with the dogs as well.
We know, your Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, you guys work with mental health and stuff of different first responders and people that are struggling with mental health. What got you started in that field? What happened to get you started in doing that?
When we first had a first Newfoundlands, which is about the same time as I joined the ambulance service, we did trials. There's a lot of trials in this country, and it's just like any gun dog trial, any sort of trial. It's a sort of a way of showing the dog's abilities to work in a scenario-based situation. But I felt that there was more that we could do with the dogs. And I did it for a few years. Both Jen and myself became judges to the highest levels with the trials. But I always felt there was more that we could do with the dogs. So I started training them for real rescue. I was on the part of an ambulance service team called the Hazardous Area Response Team, HART. And as part of that team, we did water rescue, swift water rescue. We're doing some work developing different manoeuvres with the dogs as a team for getting people out of the water. Anyway, as time went by, we was never actually going to get used for the real rescue in this country. And I'd been to Finland, I'd been to Italy and trained with the famous SIX team, which is SICS team, who work with the Coast Guard, best in the world. You've got a guy in America, in Pennsylvania, that works with them. He's set up an American version of the same people. I've also been into schools for a number of years teaching kids water safety with the dogs, because they see this old bold bloke and don't listen to him, but they see the dog and it triggers everything off.
Now, when you talked about water safety, I know this personally. There was something that happened to you a long time ago that kind of put that ahead of the game. Could you tell us that little story a long time ago, what happened to you?
Yeah. Many years ago, 1980, 81, around that area. A friend of mine moved over to South Africa with his missus, and he rang me up one day. He said, "You ought to come out here. It's brilliant." So I did. I ain't got much work here. It was before I joined the ambulance service, long time before that. Went on a big aeroplane and landed in South Africa, and it was red hot, and it was fantastic. Just such a different place to go to, different cultures, amazing. Anyway, on this one day, my friend had arranged to meet his mate at the Val Dam, which is a massive, massive lake in South Africa. And his boat was moored up about 100 metres out. He said, "Come on, we'll swim out to the boat. We'll go up for a day out on the boat." Brilliant. Let's swim out to it. I got about 3/4 of the way, and the guy I was swimming with, he'd sort of gone forwards to the boat, and I started to struggle. Big style struggle, not just, running out of breath, but I was going under. I think I taught some people nearby on the boat some new language. I don't think it was Afrikaans. He looked round and saw me really struggling, and I'm going under. The biggest mistake was putting my arm up, because obviously you go under a bit quicker then. I'd only got shorts and t-shirt on. He seen me struggling. He came back, dived in off the boat, came back to me. I really can't remember where my other mate was until he turned up on a boat with somebody. Now, I don't know how he got on that boat. I don't know where it came from, but this boat turned up. My mate swam out to me and grabbed me, and as soon as he touched me, self-preservation and thinking that if I struggle, I'm going to drown him as well, I just relaxed while he held me in the water. I've never met this bloke since, never seen him again. Only after that day we did. And when the people on the boat pulled me in and took us to the boat, that was fantastic, but it did cause another problem, is how do I get back to shore? I am now petrified of water. How do I get back? So we searched the boat for something I could get back with. We found an old life ring or something at the bottom of the boat. This was quite a biggish sailing boat. And I swam back with that. Never went into water again after that for a few years. If you showed me a lake, I'd walk away from it. Showed me a puddle, I wouldn't step in it. And it's ironic now that I do what I do.
So I think, did that experience, is that what you talk about water safety? That's really why you involve water safety in with your emotional swim dogs?
When I get to the schools, and it never really dawned on me for the first few times that I went, and it never sort of entered my head. And although I still sort of had a few sort of thoughts of it, and the fact that I am still here today because somebody helped me, I never really looked back at it. It was like, I'll shut it out. And then some of the kids were sort of probably not listening so well. And I said to them, many years ago in South Africa, I nearly drowned in the Val Dam, and then told them the story. That made them listen. Now, that story I tell quite a lot now because people listen to it, because I'm still here to tell the tale. How many people have gone into that water and can't tell the tale because they've not come out?
Sure. And
You know,
well, I'm grateful that it worked out the way it did, and you're here today. Now, do you want to, I interrupted you. You want to go back to what
Yeah.
got you started?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously that was a massive thing in life. And I've always been sort of happy-go-lucky and don't really worry about too much. But then we weren't going to get the dogs used for real rescue. We've done all these different training sessions and that. So Tracy, one of the girls that works with me in the school, she's an ex-colleague from the ambulance service. I was around her house sort of talking about what we're going to do. What can we do to work with the dogs other than the real rescue? And other than the school stuff, because that's important, but it's still not working the dogs in the water. So we looked at the dogs at 9/11 and what they were doing. And this dog, Eliza, I think her name was, she was coming over from, the guys were coming over from the Ground Zero, across the river to have time out and just talking to the dogs. Didn't talk to the human, just the dogs. Because the dogs were not sort of answering back or anything. It was just telling them what their thoughts. Afterwards, saying to the owner of the dog, thank you, and going back into Ground Zero. And that was really touching, really moving. And I thought, you know what? There must be something. Anyway, Tracy then said, I've got a story to tell you. Now, this is going back 7 years. 2 years before that, she'd promised to come and help me out. She'd never swam with the dogs. She'd always helped with the school stuff, but never actually swam. She was having some problems at home and with the job and that, and she weren't in a great place, the dark place as we call it. And she says, I was late getting to you that day. And I remember the day because it was a charity event. That morning she was going to take an overdose, but she'd promised that she'd come and help out. And although I only knew her sort of from work and doing the school stuff, she didn't want to let me down, which, is quite special when the other thoughts are ending it all. So, so when she came, we got her into a wetsuit and stuff, swam out with her. And she said that sort of just swimming out helped her. Being in the water in a buoyancy aid and a wetsuit, so she could just float about and felt as if some of the weight had been lifted off her shoulders. And then she said that Boris, the old dog that we got at the time, he swam out, and she said his eyes look into your soul. And she said, deep and powerful looking dogs just swimming at you, towards you. She says he's not judging you, he's not condemning. And this reminded me a lot of the 9/11 dogs. They're not there to judge or condemn those guys that are coming over from trying to find body parts, etc. And it just reminded me, and I just thought, you know what, there's something in this. I've not been one for religion. I've not been one for mental health. I've just pretty much laughed about everything. But for some reason, I don't know why, sort of a light switch moment where you think, actually, we've found something. To this day, I don't really know what it is because I'm just a bloke from Leicester with a couple of dogs. that goes swimming with them. But there's something magical and something. There must be somebody somewhere sprinkling some magic dust on them lakes when we take the dog swimming, because it changes lives.
Absolutely. I tell you, you telling that story, and I know some background about it, since that happened, where is Pete Lewin Newfoundlands? Like, you've had so many swims with military, with schools, with kids with autism, with other children with handicaps. Just a multitudes of things you've done. You traveled to America a couple of times. You help with American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. You always promote them over there when you do events there. What's one of the big things that just happened a few months ago that really got you on Great Britain, Good Morning Great Britain, and all these other newscasts? And what increased that popularity for what you do? What happened, Pete?
Yeah, well, we for some reason we was I know what it was. We did a pilot scheme for the military veterans. Just really before that, Tracy's, the girl that I've just been talking about, her sister came and said, after she'd had a swim with us for the day, said, "Pete doesn't know what he's got here, does he?" Tracy said, "No, Pete sees people coming with a sad face, leaving with a happy face, and his dog's having a swim. That's all he sees." And she said, "He just hasn't a clue, has he?" Anyway, this year we won at Crufts the Hero Dog of the Year. Now, I don't know if that means anything to you guys in America, but it's quite a big, prestigious thing over here. And for this guy that's been a paramedic a few years, I just help people in my job. And then I get a reward for doing what I love doing. Now, if nobody turned up, I'm still going to swim with my dogs. But people are coming and loving what we're doing. Now, is that me? Is that the team? Is that the dogs? I don't know. But it's very special.
Well, Pete, I know. Could you was in that arena and you had 4 or 5 other people you were competing with, Hero Dogs of the Year, and you had 7,000 to 8,000 people watching you. And if people want to see that video, they can go to Pete Lewin's Newfoundlands on the Facebook page, or you can go to worldwidepeersupport.org and you can find that video on there. But Pete, when you got that award, how'd that make you feel?
Very humble, proud, not just for me. And I know it's a lot of hard work, many, many years of hard work of me just pushing forwards and getting kicked in the teeth and things not happening, promises being ditched, etc., and that. But it's for the team as well. Now the team consists of people that have come for a swim for their own mental health, but then want to come back and help out because they benefit from seeing new people come and see how they react for their mental health. So it's like an increasing circle of people that are benefiting from it. And it's just such an amazing thing to have won. And very proud of the team, proud of the breed. Somebody said to me the other day, I've done more for the breed of Newfoundlands than any show dog's ever done. Making that point about mental health and what we're doing. So, I'm dead chuffed, as we say in the UK.
I tell you, I got the privilege, me and my wife, this past December, we traveled to England, Leicester, England, and we got to swim with a particular dog. And I'm going to tell this story real quick. When I met Pete in 2018, we're corresponding over the phone and emails. And I asked Pete, hey, do you want to come over here? We'll pay you come over here and go to FDIC, that big convention at Lucas Oil Field. And he goes, let me think about it. But yes, I'll come. As we were talking, Pete was telling me about one of his Newfies that had cancer. And Pete's the one that inspired me to get my Newfoundland and do emotional support over here. Go to halfway houses, go to suicide prevention walks, and his name's Herbie. Herbie was named after a firefighter who was a friend of mine that died by suicide. Well, when Pete came over here, I said Herbie needs somebody to play with. He don't have somebody, so we got another dog named Walker from Hitching Post Family Farm from Steph and Lynn, which are very good people. They're very conscious breeders, loving people that love their dogs, that really take care of their newfies. But we got Walker, and Walker was a puppy. Came over, and I kind of asked Pete, "Hey, with Walkers, does that sound like a good name? Should I get a male or female?" He's guided me through all this. Well, Pete came over here. We got Walker, and Pete came over. He helped walk Walker while he was here. He stayed at my house, so we'd go on walks, and I'd walk Herbie, and he'd walk Walker, or we'd switch off, and he'd walk the other one. But when we went to FDIC, we had about 100-something people that were around our exhibit, and I told Pete I wanted to present the Family Hitching Post award for what they've done for mental health with these newfies. Well, as he was talking, we stopped him and said, "Listen," and we walked Walker over to him, this little pup. He says, "Walker's for you, not for us." Between the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and a bunch of firefighters and other people that's in our community, we bought Walker, and we shipped Walker home with Pete to be a part of Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. And you talking about tears. Here's a stiff English guy. We got some tears out of him. So when I went over there this past December, I got the privilege, after I think Walker's been there for 2 years, I got the privilege to my first swim with Pete, and also I got rescued by Walker, the best American Newfie over there, the best Newfie over there he has on his team. But that's a little story about, we rescue the rescuers. Pete had a dog, a Newfie that is like family. So not to replace that Newfie, but to add to the team and to show him that just because you live across the pond or different kind of across the world, we can affect other people around the world. And that's a little story that I wanted to share with everybody about Walker. We call him Walker the Magnificent. I think Jen, Pete's wife, calls him Walker the Nuisance because he's got in everything at the house when he's a pup. But, that's what Yanks do. Could you tell, what are the names of all your Newfies?
Well, we've got Storm. He's a very needy boy. He's our eldest dog. We've got Sonar. He's our proper grafter. And each dog's got different swimming styles. You'd think they all swim the same, but they're not. So Sonar's sort of lower in the water, and he's just a powerhouse. Then we've got Walker. He's got friends all over the country. People love Walker. There's some great pictures on our Facebook page and website of Walker with one of the guys called Dave. We've got Bob. He doesn't do a lot of swimming, unfortunately, so he's known as Dry Bob. And then we've got the new boy to the team, which is Ralph. Now, Ralph is just 12 months old. He's now got to start doing some work. He's been a puppy. Well, he's still a puppy, but we've now got to start owning him in now as well. So he's going to hopefully start next year doing the swimming. And we start April time next year with the team training, and then start the big swims in May.
Well, I tell you, you got a good team of Newfies. Could you name off, I'll help you if you forget some, who's your teammates that help you go to these? You can't do it on your own. So you got a team of people that help you. Could you name off quite a few of them, whether it's past or present?
Yeah, I've got Tracy Boat. We call her Tracy Boat because she had an hour boat, and that's how we know her. We've got Tracy Seal. She's pretty much left the team now at the minute. She's now working full time. She's left the service, so we do most of our swims midweek, so she's unable to help. We've got Mark Badette, Paul Good. Paul is a guy that's been across to America a couple of times, and hopefully coming back over there to live with Billy.
Yeah.
We have Dave. We have Dave from Morton in the Marsh. This is a different Dave. Now, Dave's just done his paramedic. He used to be a car mechanic. Now Dave's just got himself a Newfoundland.
That's great.
So we've got a young lady Newfoundland coming into the team called what's her name? Polly.
Sounds
like
good.
that.
We're not going to
Anyway.
know any difference. It's the same name.
No, it could be anything. It could be
Yeah.
Mildred. And then because he had Jess before, and when we first started, he had a Newfie called Jess, and she passed away a couple of years back. We've got Linda and Matt. They've got Ralph's brother, which is Shiva. They've also got Rama and George.
Uh-huh.
George is a massive dog. He's bigger than Skip. And he doesn't do a lot, unfortunately, but he's great to take to shows. He's our own step. And then we've got Vix, who's helping out with the Facebook page and website. We've got Holly, she helps with the treasury. And
what about Holly's family? Do they help too, don't they?
Yeah, Holly's family, they come down, Andy and the kids, Lil and Joe comes down, and Joe's been to America as well. I mean, some of you guys would probably have met Joe. And then that's about it, really. I'm sure there's more.
Just to if there's anybody that Pete's left out, don't take offense to it. He's older and he can't remember very well. I'm just joking around. That's we kind of banter back and forth and have a good time with it. You know how the firefighters, paramedics, or first responders, we have a good time with each other. But Pete, if there's somebody listening out there right now, no matter where they're at in the world, how could they get a hold of you personally or your team?
Pete Lewin at Gmail. Pete Lewin Newfoundlands at gmail.com is our email address for the team. You can get in touch with us via that. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a web page. But yeah, you can get hold of us anytime. And if you get hold to Skip, he can always put you in touch with us anyway. So at some point, before I get too old, I would love to come over to America and do even if we only bought Walker, but it'd be great to bring a couple of the dogs over and actually do a couple of sessions over there, so people understand what it's all about and see how the magical dust works in America.
Well, if there's any business or organization would like Pete to come over here to America and help with the cost, we're more than welcome to get a hold of Pete and let him know. You can go to burnoutpodcast.org and you can send us a message, and we can give you Pete's contact information and also work with you to make that happen. But Pete, you're coming over to FDIC this year. If people want to meet you this coming year, 2023, you're going to be here in April, aren't you?
I am. I've made a plan. The wife says now the pup's older, I can come over. I won't be bringing any of my dogs, but I think I'm going to be bringing Skip's dog Laser along, because it's not right standing at a show without a dog. So that's what I need to do what I do, really, because Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, it's what it says on the tin. I need my dogs with me because they make it. They make what we are.
Sure. And our exhibit is under Worldwide Peer Support. So if you go to FDIC.com, you can go to Worldwide Peer Support Organization. You can see the different exhibits. Also, our huge sponsors, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the Indiana chapter. We'll have Kelsey and Tammy there. Kelsey is the executive director and Tammy is the chairperson that helps the Worldwide Peer Support and the first responders here in Indiana with resources, with just a lot of different things. And then we'll have all our other different sponsors that'll be there too, especially Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. We'll have his information. You can meet Pete and Laser. And then we'll have a little video thing of Pete's videos of stuff that he does in England. You can watch it, you can hear about it, but if you get a chance to experience, it's one of those things in my life that I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal until I got out there and did it. And I didn't realize how moving experience it was to have a Newfie rescue me and pull me in and just relax and just, it's just amazing. It's hard to put in words. You have to experience it.
Just to add to that, it's the way we describe it is, or people describe it, it's like just being weightless. And are the dogs rescuing physically, or are they rescuing mentally? And that's what you perceive out of it, to be honest. So it's well worth a go.
Well, Pete, there's somebody out there that's struggling mentally, whether it's with addictions or they just don't want to be in this world again. What would you tell that person right now?
Talk. Go and talk to somebody, whether it be Worldwide Peer Support, American Foundation for Suicide, Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, whoever you know that you can talk to. Don't keep it to yourself. Just go and talk to somebody, because somebody somewhere is going to help you.
That's right. And if you want to get a hold of, if you're in a crisis, 988 is a new number here. It's not that long, 1-800 number for suicide prevention. Whether you're a family member or you're somebody in crisis, if you need information, call 988 and they can direct you how to help somebody. Also, the Worldwide Peer Support Organization, you can go to worldwidepeersupport.org. There's 3 support Zoom meetings on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I think this winter, England's going to come back on and start doing their support meetings. We're going to work that out with a few people. But Pete, thank you for being on the show. And one thing we always ask the guests, is there a phrase or a quote from somebody that rings in your mind when you're going through a struggle, or something that keeps you going when you get tired? Is there something that there's a quote or a phrase that you can recall?
You know what? Putting me on the spot like that, there ain't really, no. Just in England, just keep your pecker up.
Okay, that's good. That's funny.
Yeah, but it's one of the sayings. It's just one of the sayings in the UK. Just keep your pecker up. You know, it means all good stuff, nothing sexual or anything. It's just it's just yeah. So when Sean edits it, he can cut that bit out.
Oh no, we're leaving that. We're leaving all that. Well, Pete, thanks again for being on here. And I know you're a busy man. You do a whole lot. You're a friend. I'm glad to call you a friend, and glad you've been there for me when I was struggling. And I really am grateful for Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. Go on the Facebook page. Get a hold of us at burnoutpodcast.org. Go on our website, message us. We can give you Pete's contact information. Pete, you have a great day today, and don't forget who gave it to you, okay?
It sounds a bit better than keep your pecker up, doesn't it? But thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Well, we'd like to thank everybody for listening in. We thank our sponsors. You can go to our website and check out our sponsors and see more details about them. Also, when you go home tonight, shut your radio off, get some sleep. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Burnt Out Podcast. Your host for Burnt Out is Skip O. Produced by Sean P. Neal, a Two on the Lobster production. Tune in every week for fresh episodes of Burnt Out. And visit burntout.org for more information.